Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I want to do a Q&A video here because I haven't done a Q&A video in a while, and this one here is going to be, it's kind of focused on a lot of things. There's Fear the Walking Dead stuff and whatnot, but I also wanted to talk about one thing that I felt like is, it's one thing that we learned in the early reviews for The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Season 2, and that is that the Shipyard is not actually related to the CRM, and I'm talking about the story. It's actually not related at all to the Civic Republic military, and I have some thoughts on that. So before we go any further, obviously make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. I just posted my review for The Boys, Season 4 episodes 1 to 3. Definitely go and check that out if you're actually watching this series. If you haven't checked it out yet, like the show, definitely go and do so. It's such a good show. The Boys is honestly probably one of the best shows out there as of right now. Like, it's such an entertaining show. If you like Marvel, just superhero movies in general, this is a very interesting take on it. It's a much darker take, but it's so much fun. I mean, I feel like a lot of people have already watched The Boys and or have heard of it, but I'm just saying this because someone I know actually just started watching The Boys for the first time, which I find insane. So definitely go and check it out if you haven't. I really, really recommend this show. But I saw this here in a review, actually. It was an early reaction review of the first episode here of Season 2. It was a non-spoiler review, I feel like, besides this one part, though. And again, I'll leave a link down below to the article here. It's from the Nocturnal. Really great insight here into this first episode here. And at one point here, the article actually talks about the Shipyard storyline and whatnot, and, you know, the connection between that shipyard and France, and, like, why the ship was there. Because if you remember, there were scientists there, or at least there was that one scientist. I imagine there's a couple of them, but they were doing research. They were, like, gathering walkers from there. And so, apparently, according to the article here, the CRM is not involved at all, at least or in the show, or at least there's no connection with that storyline there with what is happening with those scientists in France and whatnot, which, you know, I will say I'm kind of, in a sense, thankful for. But I also think that there is still going to be somewhat of a connection. Like, it's not going to be fully connected. And obviously, we haven't watched the episode, so we don't know. So we can't really say. I personally can't really say. But when you look at the scientist stuff in general, with the Primrose team and all of that, you know, there is connections there to the Civic Republic military, at least in terms of what was happening in Ohio, right? That's what we learned at the very end of the World Beyond post-credit scene, is that there was a conference held in Ohio very, very early on, you know, and I feel like a lot of people were involved in that. There seems to have been a lot of powerful people there. I still think the groups are separate, for sure. And this confirmation here, I feel like, is going to be that, which is, yeah, the groups are separate. They might be aware of each other, but it seems like the connection with the variant walkers is not related to the CRM at all. It is something entirely separate, which I like because it does really build up the whole CRM versus Madame Genet and the variant walkers, right? Like, if they're actually going to eventually get to that storyline there, and I say CRM because obviously they're on the good side right now, right? And so Madame Genet and the variant walkers, like, that's sort of the whole build-up right now. You know, Andrew Lincoln mentioned that recently in terms of returning to The Walking Dead, you know, like what he would want to do next, and he would want to take the story in a more survival horror, like simplistic survival horror direction. And so in order to do that, I feel like you have to make walkers scary again. And they're kind of doing that with the variant walkers, right? Doing that right now, it's exciting. It's very exciting to watch the variant walkers, just that story on Daryl Dixon, and having them come to America at some point is, I just feel like it's going to happen. I think ignoring all of that and ending that whole storyline is a big, big mistake, and I hope that they don't do that in Season 2. I don't see it actually happening because they're going to Spain, and that tells me that's because they lost the nest, and I think it's going to be because the variant walkers probably took over that place, right? And they all had to run away and go to Spain, right? Because France and Spain are very close together, so it makes sense. But having that whole Shipyard storyline not connected at all to the Civic Republic military, I think is smart, and it's not necessarily from a story perspective, but it's also from, like, the fans and whatnot as well. I've seen a lot of people just not happy with where things ended, right? Like, just with the Civic Republic military storyline specifically. And so I think connecting the variant walkers to that storyline and all of that, and doing all of that, I think would just, it creates a lot of, like, non-interest. Like, I've seen a lot of people saying, like, you know, I just want something new. I just want them to do something different. Like, the CRM story is just boring now. Like, don't go back to that or anything like that. And I guess I'm kind of there as well. There is still some really exciting stuff about the CRM that they could actually get into, and some really cool stuff about it. But I just think, yeah, in terms of the variant walker stuff, you know, that's a very exciting storyline. A lot of people really like what they're doing there. Just have it disconnected right now. I feel like it's just, it just makes sense. And a lot of people seem to really want them to do that. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see where that goes for episode 1. But let's actually get into the first question here. Q&A. on Twitter, you asked where to watch Fear the Walking Dead Season 1, which got me thinking if you would ever rewatch the series and review it season by season as a retrospective. So this was actually something that I was planning. I don't know if I was going to go season by season. My plan was just to review Season 1 because I haven't watched that in a while. So, you know, depending on, you know, how I feel about that going forward, maybe I'll go and review Season 2 and 3. But my plan right now is to go back and rewatch Fear the Walking Dead Season 1, review all of that, and then also go back and review older episodes of The Walking Dead. So that's my plan. I'll probably get to that at some point next week, just because we have House of the Dragon and The Boys airing right now. So I've been doing, you know, breakdowns and videos on that right now, but I'll eventually get to that at some point next week. But yeah, in terms of doing every single season, I don't know if I'll do that because I don't know if I really care too much to do all of that. But eventually, you know, I could go back and do Season 2 and 3. Maybe Season 4, but I don't think I'll ever get around to doing Season 5, 6, 7, and 8. Maybe in like years from now, you know, I'll eventually get around to doing all that once it's been some time and I'm like, you know what, I want to go back and rewatch some of that and just see how that is now, right? I feel like that stuff just kind of came out recently, so it's like, there's not really a point, but for Fear the Walking Dead Season 1, it's been a while, so I can definitely go back and do that. Q&A, if you could choose any Fear the Walking Dead spinoff of any character, who would you want the spinoff to be about? Well, I feel like I would have to choose Alicia and Madison, just because to me they're the most interesting characters. You know, my favorite character was always Strand. I feel like, well, Nick I would say was my favorite character, and then eventually it ended up being Strand. But for a while there, it just, you know, Strand, I think in Season 7 was like, I don't know what happened to his character. Like, I was okay with him becoming the villain, but it was just like, it kind of felt like they didn't really have a direction for him. And so if they went and gave that character a spinoff, I feel like they could really do a lot with Strand. Like, actually having him the lead. I think that would be really entertaining, but I would want, you know, different writers, a different showrunner. I don't want the same showrunners from Fear the Walking Dead. And so, yeah, I guess that would be my answer. Like, obviously, Madison and Alicia, like, they're up there because they're, like, the two best characters on that show. But in terms of, like, my favorite characters overall on that show, I'd probably have to say Strand. I feel like a Strand spinoff, that would be a really well-written series, I feel like. Like, even, like, a limited series of just, like, 6 episodes. Like, I think that would be a lot of fun to watch. Q&A, if Daryl Dixon Season 3 does go with Rick's brother, what would that storyline look like? Well, man, that would be such an interesting storyline to do because I feel like having that character in the show, it's going to create a lot of buzz for the show. A lot of people are going to want to go back and watch it, but you're going to have a lot of people being like, wait, that's so ridiculous, this and that. And then you're going to have to explain, well, it happens in the comics, but then some people are going to think it's ridiculous, this and that. So it really depends on how you do all of it, right? I feel like that storyline, there would have to be a lot more there. They would have to write a whole thing separately from the comic, right? In terms of, like, his brother could still be named Jeffrey, right? Jeffrey Grimes. But you would have to have this whole backstory worked out where he's still alive right now because Rick's brother dies in the comics. He would have to still be alive right now. He would have to be a part of a new group that has some sort of conflict with Madame Genet, or maybe he's working with Madame Genet or whatever. Like, you would have to have something make sense just for the bigger storyline, but then also, you know, there is going to be that whole Rick Grimes element to all of it. So I feel like it would look like that, but I don't know if they're going to go in that direction. Like, I would like them to. I think it could be a lot of fun, but I feel like they don't really want to do that because this is Daryl's story, right? But obviously there is going to be that connection with Rick, but yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Q&A, when do you think the Walking Dead universe will end? I don't think it's going to end for a long time because even if this current era ends in like the next 5-6 years, after that, they're going to do a whole next generation. Like, and then even after that, they can reboot the whole thing, right? Like in 20-30 years, they'll reboot all of it. And then, you know, at that point, then people will be talking about, is this show better than the original? Then obviously people say, well, no, never. And so, yeah, I don't really see it ending ever because you have a property like The Walking Dead, which is like the most popular zombie genre or zombie property out there. There's just no way it's going to end because you can always constantly tell new stories. And it's going to be something that's going to live on for a very, very long time. But yeah, I'm gonna end this video here. First of all, thank you so much for posting all of your questions. And yeah, there was a lot of questions in there that I could not answer. But yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. My next video is gonna be on some of the walkie-talkie storyline stuff because, you know, that was confirmed that was actually gonna be happening. There was a lot of stuff in that panel that was confirmed to be happening in season 2. So I'm gonna break down all of that and talk about very specific storylines here as we build to Comic-Con, which is happening in like a little over a month, right? So yeah, hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my Walking Dead content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one.